Hey everyone, my name is Ella. Welcome back to my channel. I have my notes ready. Hopefully I won't forget anything. I have horrible memory. An important side note. Everyone casts spells differently and everyone probably also conducts rituals differently. So it really is just my take on things. I'm also discussing rituals and spells in the Wiccan way. So not necessarily just purely witchcraft, but how a Wiccan would conduct a spell or a ritual. So without further ado, let's get right into it, and I hope you will enjoy this video. So the first thing that you need to ask yourself before even starting with a ritual or a spell is this necessary? Because a lot of times people immediately jump to spells and rituals. Now you really need to keep in mind that there are other ways to reach your goals, and a spell is not always the best solution. Now, if you have gotten that out of the way, is it necessary? The next step would be to get into the right headspace. Once again, I don't recommend conducting any kind of spell or ritual when you're angry, if you're really sad, or even really ecstatically happy. There's too much energy going into it that might not come from a place where you want the energy to be coming from. You might not want this type of energy in your spell. That's really the key here. You need to be in a space of neutrality, really calm. I apologize, I don't know what he's doing. You need to be in a really nice, calm space. So a way to get to that stage is actually to take, for example, a bath. You can also burn some lavender incense to de-stress, for example, take a walk, anything that gets you away from being angry or sad or ecstatically happy, you know. You just want to be neutral, you want to be calm and focused. This also means if you're too tired for a spell or ritual, don't cast the spell or ritual. Next step is to plan your ritual or spell. Now by planning I mean take your book of shadows, write down everything for the spell so that you are prepared. Now this is important just because organization. I like to be organized. If you want to go with the flow, of course you can do that as well, but having everything written down is a great way for you to, when you're doing the spell, not forget anything. So once again, for your spell, what you would write down are, for example, your intentions, the goal of the spell or ritual, ingredients that you might need, what type of spell it is, what time and place you want the spell to be, and what deities to work with, or gods and goddesses, if you want to work with any such things. Now, what type of spell is somewhat important. There is a lot of different types of spells, so I'm not going to get into that because that would just take forever. But for example, there's candle magic, there's, you know, color magic, knot magic, rune magic. There's all sorts of magic, like all sorts of spells that you can do. You just kind of choose whichever you like. In that hindsight, I would just say research which spells there are, which one would work the best for you, and go with that. With ingredients. Now, as a newbie Wiccan, of course you might not know which ingredients go into a spell. With that being said, I think the best idea for you or solution is in fact to have a look at other spells, for example in different books or online. Now be careful, especially online. Don't believe everything that you read. Just be careful, because some ingredients can in fact be toxic, you can be allergic to certain ingredients, and so on and so forth. So basic ingredients might just be what color candle you would like to use. If you live in a dorm and you're not allowed to use candles, having the candle there can also just be enough. You can also just work with the color. For example, if you have different types of cloth in different kind of colors. For example, for a prosperity spell, you might use green or gold. For anything to do with romance, pink, red. Or then, of course, with the sabbats, you would use the colors according to the sabbat. Then you can also use runes, for example. Once again, just look up the runes, their meanings, and have a look if any of the runes are best suitable for a spell that you want to do. The same goes for crystals. I always use crystals in my spells, just I like to consider myself a crystal witch. yeah, and just have a look at different crystals. Again, you can find sources for the meanings and definitions of different crystals and their properties in books, online. You can message me. Incense also, of course, you can add into your spell. You can add herbs. You can add those into your spell. Cinnamon, for example, pepper, things that you already often have in your house already anyways, can definitely be used for spells. You don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money if those are things that you already have at home anyways. Or you can also collect natural things. So for example, you can go collect some water from the ocean or a river nearby, or some leaves that have fallen down already, you know, perhaps some rocks that you find in the forest on a walk. So you can really use anything that you feel is appropriate. What deities to work with, or gods and goddesses? Again, I suggest to look up different gods and goddesses online or in books. And the next tip would be to be comfortable. Now, a lot of Wiccans actually work with specific outfits. For example, they have a specific robe or something that they like to wear. Some also go sky-clad, which is naked, but you don't have to do that if you're uncomfortable with it. If you are comfortable, of course, go for it, you know, but a lot of people have dedicated clothes for rituals and for spells, because a lot of our own daily clothing can have just energies from your daily life, and you might not want those in your spell. Hence why people either go naked or why they have specific clothing for when they conduct spells and rituals. The key is to be comfortable. You don't want to wear something that is going to restrict you in any way, that could be dangerous with, you know, fire or anything like that. Be definitely careful with fire. Be comfortable. That's the main point here. Let's get into casting a circle. So before you even start your spell or ritual, you cast a circle. And there's a couple of different techniques. I will go over a very basic, very standard way of casting a circle, and of course you can add to it, you can expand it, however you like. It's up to you. Now the first step would be to cleanse the space that you are intending to cast the circle in. This can be either outside in nature or in your home, whatever. Cleansing your space, you can use, for example, sage, you can use incense, you can also use a mixture of salt and water, or for example ocean water or moon water as well, and you can just sprinkle that around. You can use a besom, which is a tool for Wiccans. It's like a little broomstick. I have mine here. Little broomstick. You don't actually clean with this, you just kind of use it more symbolically to remove the energy. You also want to clean it like generally. You don't want to have junk lying around. Make sure it's tidy as well, just because of the energy stagnating when it is untidy. Actually a good reason to always have your room clean as well, or your apartment, house, whatever, because the energy just stagnates and negative energy clings onto it. The next step would be to cleanse yourself, and again this can be done in a similar fashion. I like to actually shower beforehand any type of ritual or spell, and use the water to cleanse myself. I visualize the negative energy coming away from me, washing away from me, and any energy that might have accumulated in that day, I just let it wash away. Or you can, for example, also use sage again, incense. If you don't have any tools to aid you with cleansing yourself, visualization is also really a great technique to cleanse yourself. And visualization in general is going to be a key word in this video. It's key for magic and witchcraft and Wicca in general. Now once you have cleansed your space, once you have cleansed yourself, cleanse your tools. So cleansing your tools, same exact way that you would cleanse yourself, cleanse your space. So for example, if you're using a wand or an athame to cast a circle, you just cleanse it once again with sage, again with salt water, anything you have at your disposal basically, or just visualization. Starting to cast your circle, stand at the east of your space with your wand or athame. You would call the eastern element into your circle. So when you're calling the elements, it can be specific or it can be very general, it depends. So you can incorporate something, for example, let the air cleanse the space, let the air bless this spell, or for example for fire, let this fire bring passion to my spell, or earth, let it ground me for this spell, something like that. And you would go in a clockwise motion to every single element. So east, air, south, fire, west is water, north is earth. And when you have finished all of those, you point your athame above you and you call the spirit into your circle. Very important in this entire circle casting is again visualization. You're visualizing a space of light, a bubble perhaps around you that is protecting you and is radiating this positive energy, this pure energy. That is essentially what a circle is for. It's protecting you and it's giving you a special space of magic. You can in fact cast the circle 3 times, so you would make 3 circles, and a lot of Wiccans, for example, would chant the Wiccan reed while walking the circle. If you want, you can also only do it once. It's up to you. I do it 3 times, just tradition, I guess. That's just how I did it forever, so that's how I do it now. And once you have casted your circle is when you can finally begin your spell or ritual. Now, I'll get into that in a second, but a really important thing here is to remember when you're done with your spell or ritual to close the circle. And you would be doing this in a counterclockwise motion, once again starting with the east, and once again you're basically doing everything in reverse. So a theme up in the sky, or wand up in the sky, saying thank you to the spirit and releasing the spirit. Then north, saying thank you, releasing. West, thank you, releasing, and so on and so forth. Any gods that you have invited into the circle, you would also release and thank, and that's how you would close a circle. This is really important because you don't want that energy to be infiltrated with your daily energy, basically, right? And also that kind of spell energy, you want it to be contained, and if you start something, you should finish it. It's just as to rituals and spells. Now, once again, the first question should be, is it necessary? Is this spell necessary? Is this ritual really necessary? We're not talking about Sabbats. Sabbats, of course, just a day of celebration, right? But if you're making a ritual or a spell for something with a goal, you would definitely ask yourself, do I really have to do this? If the answer is yes, if there's no other way, then go ahead. Then the next step is to look at your intentions. What are the intentions of this spell? Like, what is the goal of this spell? What are you trying to reach? Now that you know your goal, you would have a look at how to get to that goal. What are the necessary ingredients? Once again, as I just previously mentioned, all the ingredients that you could possibly need for the spell or ritual, plus what type of spell or ritual you want it to be. Then you would start to plan. So you write down all of the ingredients, you write down the date, the time that you want the spell to be, the place that you want the spell to be in. You might want to think about a chant or something to say, basically, for your ritual, for your spell. Now, a lot of Wiccans like to make it rhyme. Some Wiccans also just like to go along as it goes. I do that actually mostly. And here it's really, really important if you have your intentions figured out so that you're not going to be stuck with, oh my gosh, what do I actually want to say? Because you already know what your end goal is. For example, chants can include the Wiccan reed. It can include why you're working with this deity or god or goddess that you chose to work with. And then it can also be an actual affirmation or wording to make a manifestation, really, right? You're trying to manifest something. You're speaking it into existence. So choose your words, and once you have those set up and you have everything planned, write it into your Book of Shadows. Now, why is this so important? I've made a video on the Book of Shadows. If you write everything down into your Book of Shadows, A, it's great for organization. B, you can look back at it and either redo the spell if you would like to do the same or similar, or you can take a look and make adjustments. And the last step, forget everything about the spell. Sometimes we worry too much and that gets into the way. Like, you're blocking it because you're thinking, oh, it's not gonna work, because you're basically blocking yourself from sending out that magic, from sending out that energy into the universe. Another thing that you can do is actually write down affirmations for the spell that you can repeat every day, every week, to help the spell become stronger and to move it along. So yeah, and the main thing with spells is to believe in yourself and to believe in them. Magic is the conscious decision and attempt to manipulate energy and to send out energy to achieve a goal. So that was already it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and of course if you want to support me, I have all my Instagram linked down below, and you can also check out my crystal shop, it's also linked below. And yes, thank you and blessed be. See you next time.